Hello everybody. Today I'm doing something a little different. I want to share with you the journey I had with Onyan Kopon, which is Candle Void. Onyan Kopon is his real name, but Candle Void is his nickname. And we had a journey, an FIP journey, let's call it. So first of all, before I start anything, I want to mention that I'm not an expert. I don't have any, I'm not a veterinarian, not an assistant veterinarian. My only knowledge is from what I read, from what I experienced, and from having cats all of my life. And from my journey with Candle Void. So please don't take anything I say here as 100% true. Don't take it with a grain of salt. Although I think what I say is pretty accurate, but still, do your own research as always. If your cat is sick, please contact your local FIP Warriors admin. And so that's it for the disclaimers. So FIP, for those of you who don't know or just getting familiar with disease, it's basically feline coronavirus. The initials stand for, and I'm reading it from the internet, feline infectious peritonitis. I hope I said it correctly. It's a little I needed to break my teeth a little bit. But yeah, it's basically a mutation of the feline coronavirus. And what it means is, like a lot of viruses, about 90% of cats get not FIP, sorry. About 90% of cats get the feline coronavirus, and it's usually very mild. The symptoms aren't very severe. They can have some diarrhea, they can feel some, they can feel tired, like a flu or a stomach virus or something like that. And so 90% of cats get feline coronavirus. But approximately 10% of cats that get feline coronavirus, for some reason, the virus mutates in their body, and it enters the bloodstream, and from that point on it becomes FIP, which is no longer, it's a mutation of the virus, as I said. And from what I know and from what I read, and I talked to experts about it, once the virus mutates and becomes FIP, it's no longer infectious. It's never infectious. The feline coronavirus, from what I know, to human beings, it's not infectious, even as the normal feline coronavirus. To other cats it is, but as I said, usually it's very mild. And FIP, once it mutates to FIP, it's no longer infectious. So if you have a cat with FIP, don't worry about having him around other cats or stuff like that. My Candle Void was around Haru the entire time. He went through the process of recovering from FIP and everything, and Haru was completely fine. She didn't get FIP. I hope she'll never get FIP. She probably had the coronavirus if he had it, but I didn't see any symptoms with her, so yeah, that's basic about FIP. Until about 5 to 6 years ago, FIP was considered 100% deadly, meaning that if you had a cat with FIP, he wouldn't survive. You could maybe do some, I don't know, treatments to prolong his life, but there wasn't really a solution. And about 5-6 years ago, a cure was found, and this cure is not regulated but by FDA for reasons that I'm not gonna get into it right now. You can check it, you can read about it, you can check on the FIP Warriors website. I mentioned FIP Warriors before. This is the largest organization I know of that tests all the the different brands of medication for FIP, and they give guidelines on how to treat cats and everything. So it's very important to check their website and to talk to them if you have a cat with FIP. So as I said, FIP Warriors. I will put a link to the website below. But basically, why it isn't regulated, unfortunately, it's not because it's not a good medicine. It's an amazing medicine. It's basically due to greed and money and bureaucracy and stuff like that, which should not have a part in deciding whether a medication is that you can see works so amazingly, especially with a disease that it was fatal, 100% fatal. This shouldn't be the reason why it's not approved, but unfortunately it is. But there are ways to get it. There are companies who make it, and it's important to know that there is a cure for this disease, and the name, because it's not approved, it doesn't have really a generic name, so the name is a little complicated. I'll read it as well. It's called the GS 441524, and there are many brands, different brands. I used Lucky, it was one of the brands. There's Valor, there's also a lot of different brands, but the basic compound, or whatever you want to call it, is the same. It's just some are in pills and some come in vials, and you inject them to the cat. And the wonderful thing is that this disease that 5 to 6 years ago was 100% deadly is now basically, it's about 80 to 90% of cats, if they don't have other diseases, or if you catch it on time, about 80 to 90% of cats are cured, meaning it's not even a chronic illness. They are completely cured, and that's just a miracle. Because think about it, so not long ago it was like, oh, your cat has a FIP, there's nothing we can do about it, and he would die very quickly and painfully. So usually you would put him to sleep, unfortunately. And now you have such a great success rate, which is, most medications don't have such a success rate. Excuse me. So it's really a wonderful thing, and It's really amazing, and I can only say like good stuff about it because it saved my cat. So yeah, that's a little background about the whole situation, a lot of background, but this will probably be a long video, but okay, I don't care, I'm not gonna cut it a lot. It's very straightforward. I just want to spread the word because it's extremely important to me, because there is still so much misinformation. Even veterinarians, they aren't taught about this medication because it's not regulated, it's new. A lot of them don't know how to precisely, treat a cat with FIP. Some of them know of the medication, but a lot of them don't know which, like, blood, I don't know how to say it. When you do blood work, they don't really know what to expect, or what should be improving, or a lot of them, they don't have that information outside of the internet, or maybe an FIP Warriors admin, which most countries have an admin, which is the person who coordinates the entire thing, between yourself and the people who make the medication, and gives you all the relevant information. So it's really important for me, as someone who experienced it firsthand, that to spread that information. And I told myself, once Candle Void will be cured, I will do it. So that's why I'm doing it. I apologize again if it's a little long. Maybe it's not that interesting for most viewers, but I'm sure that a lot of people that have cats with FIP can find something helpful with my experience and with what I'm sharing right now, hopefully. So that's why I'm explaining everything in detail, and I also speak very slowly, so yeah, it might take a while. So our personal experience, I got Candle Void when he was like 3 months old, I think, and he was always a very delicate, a sweet cat, and I love him so much. Haru is very outgoing and very, he's a little scaredy cat, but he's so adorable, and they love each other, by the way. When he was about 5 months old, I started seeing that he started getting bigger and bigger, meaning his stomach started getting, bloated. And in the beginning I thought he was only getting fat, so I tried to give him less food. I tried to play with him more, to make him more active, but he was just getting fatter and fatter and more bloated and more bloated, and it was really weird for me. But I was like, I knew about FIP, but it was in the back of my mind. And he looked fine otherwise. Like, he played, he jumped around, everything was fine. He didn't look sick at all. So I just thought he was getting fat. And one day I uploaded a video of him and Haru to my Facebook account, and someone who till this day I can't thank her enough, she noticed his belly, and she told me, listen, did you check with your vet if it's only fat and there's no liquid? And I was like, no, I didn't check it, but maybe I should. And then immediately when she told me that, I knew it was FIP. I don't know why. Like, people told me. I asked other people, and they also told me, people that know about FIP. They told me, well, he looks really lively and everything. I don't think he has a FIP. And everybody told me, it's probably worms. You know, worms can cause also a bloated belly. But he was extremely bloated. And as soon as she told me, I was like, this is FIP. So once I realized the situation, I took him to the vet, obviously, and we took blood work from him and a sample of the fluid that was in his stomach, that was indeed fluid, and I immediately contacted my local FIP Warriors admin. To let her know, to send her the details and everything. So what he had, first of all, he had a fever, and I didn't notice it. He didn't act differently. He was a little lazy, but he wasn't like he didn't look sick. So he did have a fever. The blood work came out. It was bad. You know, he was very anemic, and he had other issues, and his blood work was all over the place. And the fluid in his stomach, there was a lot of fluid, and it was sort of yellowish in color, and that's what you expect to see with FIP. I should note though that there are different types of FIP. I mean, FIP is FIP, but the way it's different for different cats. You know, there's something called wet FIP, which is what Candlevoy had. And wet FIP is basically you can see the stomach getting bloated, and there's liquid in the stomach, and it just gets bigger and bigger until the liquid gets in the lungs, and if it's not treated, it fills the lungs and the cat dies. There are other types of let's say, of ways that FIP can affect your cat. There's a neurological FIP. You can see stuff like maybe he's limping all of a sudden, not walking very well. So, you know, there's other types, not just wet FIP. Wet FIP is very common, but I know of a lot of cats, like personally, that had neurological FIP. And were also cured, so that's the good news about it. So yeah, as I said, he had fever, he was anemic, and he had yellowish fluid in his stomach, which is a sign of FIP. And immediately when we got those results, we started the treatment. So basically a day after the results, I started the treatment, and usually it really depends on the condition of the cat and how severe his disease is, but usually you start with vials of liquid, and you just inject it below the skin, you know. And one of the hard things with FIP is that you need to do it by yourself, because usually vets don't do it. They do the blood, they check the blood, they check the fluid, they monitor the condition, but they can't, even if they want, they can't give him the medication because the medication isn't regulated. So think about it. It's like somebody taking an experimental drug or something like that, which is absurd to call it an experimental drug, but okay. Some doctor taking an experimental drug without any regulation or approval, and starts to treat someone with it. They might get their license revoked. So they usually don't do it, and you need to do it yourself, and that's not easy, especially in the beginning when you give them the shots, the injections. Luckily, Candle Void was not the size he is right now, because right now giving him shots, it would be very hard. He was much smaller, he was weaker, he was a baby, it was a kitten. So it was hard. There were some days that it was better, some days it was harder. I never gave like injections to cats, never. So it was new for me. The injection itself stings, so it wasn't very pleasant for him as well, and it was very hard. Like it was hard because I saw him, he didn't understand what's going on, right? And I was so stressed. Like really, it took such a toll on my mental health. And I remember telling myself, I wish I could just take his disease from him and put it on me. That I could deal with it, I could deal with the injections and everything because I know what's going on. And when you have, a kitten, he doesn't know why you're doing this, why you're hurting him. And he's very confused, and I'm almost it's very emotional for me. It was very, very, very hard. It's not just okay, injecting, that's hard enough, but the emotional toll, and it needs to be very precise at the same time every day, and the anxiety of losing him. A year before, I lost a cat to leukemia, and we also did a lot of treatments, and we did chemo, and it was very, very hard, and he passed away, unfortunately. In the end, we knew we couldn't cure him, but we tried to give him the best life and the longest life possible, as long as he didn't suffer. So I got flashbacks to that as well, and it was extremely hard. And I can say that to this day, like, I still feel the impact of the whole process, because it's exhausting, and most of all, it's frightening. You get attached, even if we weren't together for long, but I got so attached to him, and I loved him so much. And there he has a disease which I read online that it's fatal, there's nothing to do, but then people tell me, no, there is a cure, but it's not regulated, and you need to do it by yourself. And I was so confused and so overwhelmed, and I didn't know if it's gonna work or not. It was my first time. I never saw, I heard stories, but I never saw, a cat going through that. So it was extremely hard, and we started the first week. And the first week we started, the plan was to start with injections, and if he responds well to the injections, then we can move to pills, which is easier. We started the injections, and the first couple of days were very, very hard. It was like going into battle with him every day, and I was like, I know, but I can't. I have to do it. You know, I know you're scared, but I have to do it. I don't want you to die. And it was very, very hard. And the first couple of days, nothing really happened. Usually it takes 3 to 5 days, maybe a week, to see a result. And I remember the fourth injection I gave him. I gave him the injection, and he was still very bloated. And I slept. Usually I sleep in my room, and the door is closed, because I have a very hard time sleeping, and the cats really love, you know, zoomies in the middle of the night, and it doesn't work for me. So usually I sleep in my room, but when I gave him the injections, I slept on the sofa, you know, with him, around him, because I felt like he needed me, and I wanted to be there for him. And I remember giving him the injection and then going to sleep a few hours later. And in the morning I woke up and I opened my eyes and I looked at him. He was very close to me. Usually he gets close, but he was, I felt like he was more, I don't know, he wanted to be closer to me. And I opened my eyes and I don't see a belly anymore. Like, I don't see anything. He looks normal. And in the beginning I was like, wait, no. It's impossible. Like, I gave him the shot like 12 hours ago, the fourth shot. No, that's impossible. I just woke up. I'm not seeing very well, and I rubbed my eyes, I washed my face, everything, and I looked at him again. I was like, no, I don't see anything. How is that possible? How is that possible that in a few hours, on the fourth day, his huge belly just disappeared? And I sent the pictures to other people, and I was like, am I imagining it? I was seriously doubting my sanity. I'm not even joking. I'm like, am I imagining it? Because I had pictures of him before and pictures of him on that day. And everybody told me, no, he looks normal. And then I realized that he actually his belly was gone, and it was like a miracle. I can't even explain it logically or any other way. I know the belly is supposed to be gone by like after 2 weeks of treatment. It's supposed to be entirely gone, I think. But to experience such a thing, you know, that you go to sleep, he's completely bloated. You wake up in the morning, a few hours later, and there's no belly at all. It was almost like magic. At that point, I realized two things. One, that this treatment is a miracle, and I'm not exaggerating. I never saw any medication for any type of disease, severe, not severe, anything like that. That it's a miracle. And second, I realized that it's working on him, you know, and I started having hope finally, because I didn't know if it's gonna work for him or not. So we finished the first week of treatment, and after that we started with pills, which was very, 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 very refreshing, to not needing to give him, you know, injections every day, which was exhausting. So after the week, I started giving him pills, and in the beginning it was also kind of hard because I didn't know how to give it to him. And after a while, I just started giving it to him inside of churros, you know, like there's a liquid they eat the churros, the snack. So, and he would eat it up like crazy. He was even excited every day. He knew there's churro time. He didn't know there were pills there. It's churro time. So he took it, he ate it, and after the treatment is usually around 3 months. After the first month, I took him to the vet to do some blood work, and I was extremely nervous because I saw he was improving, but I didn't have the proof, you know. I didn't have the blood work, and I was like, well, maybe he's not improving enough. But fortunately enough, the blood work came, and it was a great improvement, a great improvement, and I was so happy because I could finally, I can't say I could see the end, because it was just a third of the time needed for the treatment, but I could finally see, like, okay, it's working, he's improving. Not just the belly that was gone overnight, but his blood work is better. And you know, we continued with the pills, and after the second month, I took him to another blood work, and there was an improvement, but there were also some things that weren't as good as we wanted it to be, so we increased the dose. And on the third month, which is basically, it's supposed to be the end, you know, I did again. I went to check his blood, and it was very close, but still not what we wanted. And I was so exhausted. I was fine. I was ready to just, like, yes, let's end it. Let's start the observation period, because the observation period is also around 3 months, to check that nothing, you know, the disease doesn't come back. Sometimes it does come back, and then you can start the treatment again and see how it goes. But I spoke to the admin, and she told me, and I agreed with her, let's continue for another 2 weeks and let's see. So we continued for another 2 weeks, and after those 2 weeks, we finally decided he was ready to go into observation, and we stopped the medication. And obviously it was a huge relief, but it was also very, very stressful, because I was always stressed that it would come back. That was on December 1st, 2022. And on March 1st, 2023, Kendall Void was officially cured of FIP. He was officially an FIP survivor. And just saying that and realizing the journey we've been through together, it's amazing. I you know, it was so painful for both of us, and it was so hard, and in a lot of different ways, but to see him now jump around, play, be healthy, enjoy his life, it's all worth it. And recently, on the 1st of June, it was 6 months since he's without any medication. And I recently took him another time, just to make sure. I didn't have to, like, nobody told me. I did it by myself because I wanted to be sure. And we did an ultrasound on his belly. He got a little fat, but there was no liquid, and his blood work was good. He wasn't anemic. It was standard blood work. And I just can't praise this cure and this treatment enough, you know. And it's the greatest gift maybe ever that I ever gotten, was to be able to cure him, because I know that if I didn't have the information, or if he was born a few years back, he would probably not make it. But now there's a treatment and there's a cure, and don't listen to me. Go and look it up. And don't believe people who tell you now there's nothing, now it's just an experimental drug. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. I saw not just my cat, I saw other cats that were revived in the vets, revived by the vet and survived because of the medication. So what I'm trying to say, if your cat has FIP, or if you know someone with a cat that has FIP, don't lose hope. Go check FIP Warriors, okay? Go to your local FIP Warriors admin, talk to them, get the relevant tests you need, and start the treatment, because this treatment is highly effective. It's not just 40%, 50%, it's 80 to 90% of cats that survive a 100% deadly disease. And I think that's a miracle, and I think this information should be spread as much as possible, because even veterinarians, a lot of them, aren't aware of it, or aren't sure how to give it, or aren't sure how effective it is, or just don't know really what to look for. And it's not their fault. I'm not blaming them. They aren't trained to do it because of the whole bureaucracy thing. But it's very important to know it for yourself. And if your cat has FIP, it's not a death sentence. Okay, it's not 100% that he will be cured, and it will be a tiring and hard journey, but the end can and in most cases is so amazing and so beautiful that it's really, really, really worth it. And our journey, I feel like, made us closer than ever. All the pain we went through together, all the hardship we went through together, all of that just made us closer, and I appreciate him so much. You know, he went through so much in his life. He's only a year and 3 months old. He went through so much, and now my job is to give him the best life a cat can have. And now he's cured, he's healthy, he's happy, and he is loved. So I will attach a link to the FIP Warriors website. Please spread the word as much as you can. It's very, very important. There's still a lot of misinformation, or people aren't aware of it, or they don't even know what FIP is. A lot of people confuse it with, when I say FIP, they think FIV, which is basically feline AIDS. It's not the same at all. It's a different type of illness, and a lot of veterinarians I spoke to were confused about it. Fortunately, my veterinarians already knew about the treatment, but they weren't really sure. You know, they were like, "Yeah, let's try it." I mean, there's nothing to lose, right? So yeah, do it. Check with your FIP Warriors admin, and yeah, that was my long rant and story about our journey. But it's something that really impacted my life, and it's one of the most intense but most rewarding experiences of my life. And if your cat is sick, I wish him a lot of health and happiness, and know that this can be cured. It has been cured for Candlevoid, for many other cats, and please don't lose hope. Please get in contact with the right people as soon as possible. And yeah, that was our journey, and I hope this video can help someone somewhere. Even if it helps one person, I did my job. So thank you, everybody who really watched this long rant, story, whatever you want to call it. I really appreciate it, and I wish you all the best.